Greetings, Elmra City School District faculty and staff. Thanks for clicking on the link and clicking play for this brief and informative update on Race to the Top and what it means for the Elmra City School District. It's important that you receive this update now, as when you return from Christmas break, we begin preparing to implement some of these initiatives and also gather your input in terms of our next steps. As you know, it's no secret that Race to the Top has been a widely debated and politicized education reform movement both in Washington and in Albany. For years now, President Obama and Education Secretary Duncan have been talking about innovative ways to reform today's public schools. Race to the Top, according to them, is such an innovative way. In short, for the Elmra City School District, Race to the Top is a significant injection of federal dollars into our schools to improve outcomes for our students. Elmira is receiving close to $1 million of such money to be used over the next 4 years on specific programs and interventions to close the achievement gap and to make sure that students are ready for jobs and ready for college after they graduate from our high schools. In short, Race to the Top is our commissioner's plan to create a common set of curricula and assessment across the state. What I find very, very troubling is when I go to Mansfield University or meet with superintendents from the northern tier of Pennsylvania, the expectations of students, be it 4th graders, 8th graders, or even graduating seniors, the expectations between Pennsylvania and New York could not be further apart. We share a border with Pennsylvania, yet our students are learning and accountable for completely different things at those grade levels. So the President and the Education Secretary are aiming to create a common set of curriculum across the country. In New York, all this means is we're going to revise our existing curriculum to make sure that all students are bridging that performance gap. Race to the Top is also the Commissioner's plan to find greater participation for college and real-world readiness, to make sure that students have vocational programs, but also more relevant learning to be able to compete in the real world if they don't choose college. But also to ramp up our programs, whether it's our advanced placement opportunities, our partnerships with colleges and universities, to make sure that every graduating senior is not just ready to go to college, but that they go back after their first semester or their first year. The Commissioner's plan is also to build a greater data system to gauge student learning throughout an academic year. We're not talking about report cards or end of course grades. We're talking about diagnostic measures during an academic year to determine student strengths, to determine student weaknesses, but most importantly to build a plan to make sure that those students are successful and that they're able to meet the standards. Also, the Commissioner's plan is to recruit, develop, retain, and reward effective teachers and leaders. We have heard without a doubt the impact of positive teachers on students today. We've invested significant resources in staff development, in workshops, seminars, and training to make sure that our staff are cutting edge, that they're ahead of the curve, and that they know what strategies work and what strategies don't work, but also appreciate that all students are built differently and that their brains are certainly wired differently. Lastly, Race to the Top is aimed to turn around the lowest achieving schools. We know that we have low achieving schools in New York State. In fact, just last week, the list of persistently low achieving schools came out. Fortunately, there aren't any within a 100-mile radius of Elmira. You've got to go to Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, and down to New York City to find the closest school that is in that grade of need of improvement. Since 2008, we have committed to 7 specific district priorities. They've been the foundation of Leadership Week, and they've been the foundation of your school's plan and our district plan. Those 7 priority areas are making sure that math and ELA curriculum and standards and performance indicators are being taught and that they're being taught with fidelity. I'm not talking about creating robotic teachers, but we need to make sure that we are all teaching the same curriculum to make sure that students have exposure and that are prepared for the assessments.